in our first workshop, but it will be covered in the PNT workshop, which is going to happen somewhere in end of September and also early October. We're going to have two workshops, but one workshop will be designated for the government servant, but the other one will be open, especially to the participants of the Futures workshop that we had back in Genting. So, like I have mentioned in the group, we will let you know the detail of the workshop and the venues and all, especially the dates, so that you can make reservations in your own schedule. Okay. One of the main tenets or main important parts or important attribute within post-normal times theory is that in order to understand how the future may unfold, it is just as important to identify correctly what is happening, as we need it to comprehend how we make sense of what may be occurring. So this sentence is quite complex. In order for us to be able to look into what might happen in future, it is very important for us to understand how do we make sense, or how do we understand of what might be happening. Yeah. So to put it simply, we do not think what we think because of what we see. We see what we see is what is because of what we think. So it is what we see, or how do we say it? We do not think what we think because what we see. We do not think. We see what we see. Okay. It is all here in the mind. We see what we see because of what we think. Yeah. So what we perceive, what we understand, what we comprehend, comes from the result of what we think. Yeah. So therefore, it is not enough. It is not just enough. It is just not enough to gather and process data. It is also necessary to reflect upon how do we infer conclusions from that data. So, like I said, if you remember in the workshop, Prof. Zia Scott was saying, future studies is all about data. We analyze the data, we collect the data, and from this data, we analyze and we infer the conclusions. So, the way we infer these conclusions from the data is also very important, because it is the conclusions that would help us to comprehend or to be able to see what's coming next in the future. Okay, I hope this makes sense. But if it doesn't, don't worry. It takes me quite a long time also to read and understand and this post-normal menageries. Okay, so now let's look into the first one, the black elephant. So far, do we have questions before I move on?
All right, no.
All right, no questions, yeah? Okay, okay, black elephant. Everything is black. All three post-normal menageries are black. I still could not really quite comprehend why is it black, but there is an explanation that I think we'll discuss it later when we attend the PMT workshop. So the black elephants refer to our capacity to believe in a given outcome or conclusion regardless of contradicting data, often defined as issues with high probability and high impact, but with low credibility. The black elephants forces us to reassess why do we believe in a given course of events, despite the wide evidence it may go otherwise. Okay, quite confusing, eh? So, okay, let's, the next sentence. The black elephant demand that we keep our preferences in check when looking at reality. Or, in other words, we have to assess what we may be missing, or what are the things that we did not see. What are the things that we miss, and what are the things that we do not see? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so that is black elephant. The next one, I'll give you the examples later, But let's look at the definition first. So Black Swan, as coined by Nicholas Nassim Taleb, address a different kind of bias. They have to do with how our knowledge is constructed, particularly in how we build patterns and infer conclusions. Um, Therefore, sometimes you are led to believe that something will be, something will appear, or something will behave in specific manner, foreclosing alternative options. So that means when we are led that incident A is going to happen, so with all the analysis, with all the data, we believe that A will happen instead of B or C or D. Yeah. Okay. So that is the second one, Black Swan. If you say that Black Elephant is high impact, low credibility, Black Swan is high credibility but low impact. Yeah. Okay. Next is the Black Jellyfish. So maybe before we go into the definition, we might want to imagine how does a jellyfish look. We know that jellyfish stings, and when it stings, it is painful, and if it's not treated properly, it might bring bad consequences, put us in a difficult situation. Yeah, and some jellyfish, it might even lead us to death. So black jellyfish help us deal with a different kind of bias, the omission of elements that we deem as irrelevant. Quite frequently, we mistake small for inconsequential. But as we have explained, um, as we have explained before, every issue has a modest origin, and only if the conditions are right, grows to become noticeable. So this is the important part. As we have explained, okay, every issue has a modest origin. Only if the conditions are right, grows to become noticeable. Okay. However, black jellyfish force us to look for the small phenomena that under specific circumstances can converge and bloom or develop exponentially, becoming a real challenge overnight, just like jellyfish. Okay. It has to be said, though, that the real importance lies not in the black jellyfish capacity to propagate, but in the fact that we have previously considered them as too small, weak, or distant to be relevant. Okay. As I was reading these points, I can't help but to think of a situation in our country now that we have this scare of uh, kind of cough, batuk kokon. Um, is it going to be one jellyfish? Because it started very small. Um, and at first we feel that, um, this might not impact us that much, but I think as the current data revealed to us by Ministry of Health, about 300 over people have been affected by batok kokori. Okay, we might want to look into that, but it might not also be a jellyfish. Okay, in other words, the combination of previous design and actual growth are what make black jellyfish harbingers of chaos. So a good starting question could be, what can or might lead to chaos or transformation? Transformation can be good, but chaos, we know, chaos is never good, okay? And chaos actually belongs to one of the three C's of postnormal times, complexity, chaos, and so let's see if you still remember the other one. Okay. So those are the definition of black swan, black elephant. First, we start with black elephant, and then we go into black swan, and then the last one is black jellyfish. So black jellyfish here, the high probability, high impact, and also high credibility. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So to wrap up these three post-normal menageries, in general, it could be argued that there is more evidence for black elephants than there is for black swans, and marginally more evidence for black swans than for black jellyfish. At the end of the day, though, they all require a specific kind of inquiry, a particular look if you need to detect them. And also, we assume that black elephants, black swans, and black jellyfish are separate and discrete events. But of course, they can be and often are very much interconnected and can occur simultaneously. So it is very important that we should be aware of our latent bias that may affect our judgment over them. Yeah. I think remember when COVID started and how it become very huge, that the impact will be felt even, I think, in few years, more than few years after we manage to, um, not to say control, but we manage to navigate our way um, through it. And yet, I think last few days I read um, a news that there is a new variant found in the United Kingdom, that the level of the it can be spread, no, even faster than the current or the previous variant that we had. Okay, so okay, this is one example of um, 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 black elephant. Of course, in the book, there are given a lot of examples on black elephant, but I choose to only two example of black elephant for us to go through because they are very much related to our Muslim society. The first one is the crisis of social welfare in Muslim diaspora. One of the key pillars of any successful society is how it treats its worst off, especially the elderly who no longer are able to work for their well-being. A variety of social welfare packages have been devised um, over the world, but thus far have proven vulnerable to population fluctuations. Europe, Japan, and the United States in particular are witnessing increasing aging population that are putting a bulk of their population into the retirement age group, and these actually drain the social safety nets currently in place. Increased economic and job crisis for younger people, coupled with their vast outnumbering by the elderly needing to be supported, is a rapidly approaching crisis. I think this is also something that has to be highlighted to our current government in Malaysia, because our um, um, the mechanism in supporting the elderly in the countries, um, should we say, a bit weak and not properly planned and structured. Uh, yeah, maybe I just feel that our country will have to look into that. I'm not very sure about, but I think I remember the um discussion that we had, yeah, in the workshop. Um, someone mentioned that Pakistan now has the most number of teenagers, and I think also some other Muslim countries are facing issues and dilemmas in dealing with their elderly in the society. Yeah. So what do we do in order to treat the elderly properly, to treat the poor properly? Um, what are the mechanisms that we have to support them? And if we look at Europe, Japan, and the United States, yeah, they are, of course, they have been a very old civilization, and they are, to a certain extent, properly structured and planned on dealing with the elderly in the society, but we still have people sleeping under the bridge, right? And even in Malaysia, if we do not do something about it, I think yeah, it might go out of proportion. Yeah. So while Muslim societies are at their youngest point currently, increased modernization and borrowing of Western social structures stand to produce the same crisis once the now young population approaches retirement age, where once the family was a strong unit for supporting the elderly and the young alike, Muslim populations with complex economic model, and we have this time when they will not be able to give their parents the advanced care society ought to be capable of providing. Um, yes, so um, as much as hard reality or hard truth or harsh reality, I think that's what is something that we really have to look into. With low prospects and economic, young members of the family might not be able to give their parents the advanced care um, we should be providing for them. So this is one example of black elephant. So um, it is happening slowly, but I think the probability is high, but low credibility. However, if it is not treated properly, structurally, it might become a problem in maybe 20 to 30 years to come. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, this is a repetition. Okay. So one maybe something that we might want to highlight. Yeah? Any hope at starting up successful Islamic economic models or other government policy will be given its greatest test right off the bat. Dependence on the West's addiction to neoliberalism will further inhibit any progress in Muslim societies. If these societies cannot take care of their people, then how will they be able, or how do they expect to be global leaders or modes of influence in the rapidly accelerating future? I would like to give a salute to the government of Asia is doing now. Um, they are doing their best to take care of the poor. And from this, yeah, when we have less economy issues to deal with, then maybe, it would give the impact to other parts of the society and maybe the young ones when they are stable in their income, they'll be able to take care of the elderly in their family better. Yeah. Okay. Next, black elephant. We're talking about artificial intelligence. And yes, the robots are coming. The robots are coming and the robots are already here. How many factories have we known to let go of their human staff and replace this human energy, human resources with robots? Yeah. Advancement in automation and artificial intelligence are leading towards the emergence of the age of robots. Societies will soon be seeing the implementation of robots for commercial, military, and humanitarian purposes, where constant attention is needed for the steady ebb and flow of day-to-day life. Soon, AI will reach a point of autonomy where human intervention will no longer be needed at all. Ethical debates will need to be held on the usage of robots in war and their place in society, be that as citizens, whether they become the citizens, they become the workers, or persons deemed inheritors of rights. So there were two latest news that I've read about the role and function of robot. One is one of the television station in, not sure, India or Pakistan, has introduced robots as the newscasters. I think in this case, weathercasters. That's one. And a bunch of robot has actually told the United Nations that we human beings are not doing a good job. They will be able to do a better job in managing the human beings on this world. So maybe later I will share the article in our group. Yeah. So so in as much as the second point, you're saying soon AI will reach a point of autonomy where human intervention will no longer be needed at all. I think it's already happening now. Some universities are using AI for scanning the picture, um, the face of the students. You know, some are using AI to decide whether, certain crimes, the perpetrator of crime is guilty or not. And of course, we know we have robots in medicine already now, in medical. So really, the robots are not only coming, they are already here. Yeah. Okay. The rise of robots has a twofold immediate impact on Muslim populations. The first prong of this is the effects of unemployment. Okay. I think when it comes to this is not only talking about Muslim populations, but is um, is a universal problem or universal issues or dilemma. The use of robots in low-skill manufacturing jobs greatly harms the low-cost labor that corporations count on from developing countries. This will force the global job market to need to advance its basic skill sets, and all humans will require higher level skill jobs to survive. So how do we um how do
Respond.
we sorry
Respond.
respond, not really how do we, yes, how do we respond to this, how do we actually deal with this, but how do we fight with the robots? We get tired, then we get tired, we need to sleep, we need to eat, but robots, no, they don't. And sometimes when we deal with artificial intelligence, they might, what is worrying that is that they might take the role of human beings soon. So yeah, how do we do? Even there was an article, there was a news reported, I think, a few months back about the current education in Malaysia. About so this we're not considered as one of the advanced countries, as the civilized country, the developed country. How do we deal with this? Robots and artificial intelligence. Okay. This is an example of Black Swan, the end of disciplines. Yeah. Traditional categorical breakdown of knowledge into discipline fields has exhausted its benefit to knowledge production. Certain disciplines are increasingly being questioned for their viability. Can economics continue given its colossal failure in recent times? Does development studies still make sense? Even now that we have robots, we might need to, think again of the question, human resource studies, are they still relevant? Yeah. What is the significance of geography in the time of Google Maps? Can anthropology ever shake off its colonial roots? What is the difference between physical chemistry and chemical physics? So, yes, we know that to a certain extent, even I think our beloved Prime Minister has also mentioned about this this the importance to be multidisciplinary. So this is one example of Black Swan. Yeah, the end of disciplines provide for an opportunity to not only reform education but overall relationship of societies with education and knowledge production. As disciplines once represented in the organization of all that is known, knowledge itself is changing. Ignorance, for instance, has not been thoroughly studied, yet it plays a pivotal role in all elements of civilization. Has it ever occurred to you that one day we might need to learn systematically about ignorance? It hasn't, right? And there is a part of ignorance in future studies and post-normal times that, later you'll get to know, you'll get to learn and explore about. Okay. What is the impact of all this to Muslim societies? We should look into interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary frameworks as great examples for the integration of thought and knowledge building. Most problems of Muslim societies are complex and interconnected and would benefit enormously from inter and transdisciplinary modes of inquiry. Okay. Um, the end of disciplines present a rich opportunity for Muslim societies to establish standards for educational reform and the creation of the new institutions of higher learning. Muslim societies face this challenge of building disciplines that reflect their needs and aspiration and the worldview of Islam from ground up. So this is an opportunity that should be taken advantage by the Muslim society. In creating a new system of knowledge building, Muslims have an opportunity not just to change global perceptions of Islam and Muslim, but to contribute to the overall benefit of humanity. Muslims have a great deal to contribute to the emerging discourse of integration of knowledge. Okay, my question, we're talking about end of discipline, integration of knowledge, worldview of Islam. Um, where is the location or where is the position of our Islamization of knowledge in this matter? I think, we all know about Islamization of knowledge, how it is supposed to be, taking the Muslim society out from the malaise of the Ummah, as mentioned by Professor Allah Yarham, Ismail Raju Faruqi. And in this situation here, where is the position of Islamization of knowledge? Is it the same with integration of knowledge? Um, it is two different things. Of course, we have the answer, but I just would like to throw these hypothetical questions to the listeners. Okay. This is an example of, what do you think? Is it a black swan or black jellyfish? Genetics modification.
I think it's more Black Swan.
Black swan. Genetic modification is black jellyfish, uh, not black swan. This is an example among the few example given in the book by on black swan. There are other examples also, which include new superbugs, quantum computing, mega data, or big data. That is something that we might want to look into also, because this big data has actually impacted our life to a certain extent. Yeah. So so genetic modifications belongs to the black jellyfish in the sea of chaos. Okay. Um, I think this is mentioned to a certain extent by Prof. Zia, I think in the workshop about genetic modification, DNA modification. Yeah. So genome editing is a method for scientists to change the DNA of plants, animals, and bacteria. While these techniques have existed since 1990, recent advances have made it much easier to edit our DNA. Okay. The most widely used techniques, CRISPR, clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, which was invented in 2009, is regarded as simple, faster, accurate, and cheaper than older genome editing methods. In 2015, scientists successfully applied gene editing treatment to a 1-year-old British girl suffering from leukemia. They do not use CRISP, but another technology called TALENS. Okay. The applicable legislation varies widely from one country to another, creating a huge window of opportunities for ambitious researchers. The CRISPR-Cas9 technology has made modifying DNA cheap and easy. It doesn't require top experts or equipment to apply it. Cattle, pets, and endangered species can be produced in mass quantity. Okay, so these are the things, yeah, that we might want to look into, yeah, before it goes out of hand. Increased infertility abilities can be made available. One or two infertile parents can have their DNA transposed into donors. It makes it easier to genetically design babies to the parents' demand. Superhumans could be produced with all the benefits of perfect genetic manipulation for health, youthfulness, we don't die, strength, and aesthetical beauty. It can be used also to create bioweapons, including bioweapons that target particular genetic features. I think I have not heard anything about DNA modification in Malaysia, but there is a service that could actually um, um, test and analyze our DNA and see what are the issues that we have with our health, and also probable issues that we might have in future, um, looking at the current situation of our body. I think there is one. I don't remember the name. So, but okay, let's continue. It enhances their capacity to design species that could invade or colonize specific ecosystems. Gene editing has many benefits as well as dangers for Muslim countries. It is a relatively easy and cheap technique that can be embraced by research centers and educational institutions in Muslim societies. Indeed, new gene editing centers of excellence can be established in Muslim states. It could help to obtain better harvests in places where temperature rise and water stress would make ordinary crops unviable. Okay, with this climate emergency that we are facing, okay, DNA modification would be able to help us to produce better harvests. And Muslim countries could also develop markets for genetically cloned plants and animals, as well as benefit from the research and developments in this area to keep up with the global knowledge base. Thank you. But before I stop talking about this genetic modifications, I think this is also something that we need the advice of the theological advice, or the advice of um, the um, muftis or the religious people about um, these modifications. Okay, to have it on the plants, the animals is one thing, but to be able to change our features to become prettier, to become younger, that is something that, besides talking about the advantages, the opportunities that can be taken by Muslim societies in making sure our future becomes better with all these plants and cattle production, uh, we might need to look further into these modifications of human genetic DNA. What are the rules when it comes, what are the Islamic rules when it comes to this? And, of course, some people are saying, Alamak, this is not mentioned in the Quran. What do we do? Okay, so I leave, I close my presentation with that thought, how actually to be able, or to be together at par with others, and to see what are the things that permissible and it's not permissible, it's good for us or harm of us, our society in our effort to be at par with the Muslim or the Western civilization. I hope that.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Ida atas bintangan. Tepat-tepat pukul 4 selesai.
Laju cakap.
Ada juga, ada ingat masa macam banyak aja black, tiba-tiba masuk black elephant, black jellyfish, black
Shazwan,
black swan.
we cannot hear you.
Tak kena kejap.
Can you speak?
Shazwan, I think you have to speak. Yes.
Okay, black jellyfish, black elephant, black swan ni satu kita kata elemen postnormal time yang kita tak sempat tak masuk dalam workshop future studies yang kita adakan di Hotel Scapes Genting hari tu. Dan saya rasa mungkin
Dia
akan
bukan tak sempat. Dia bukan tak sempat. Dia memang tak ada
memang
dalam
tak
tu.
ada.
But it will be in a part of the second workshop soon,
Dan
insyaAllah.
yang akan ada dalam workshop Postnormal Time yang akan September Oktober kan?
Yes.
Oktober insyaAllah kita,
Awal Oktober.
kita akan sebarkan lah bila kita dah dapat schedule tu kepada peserta. Cuma mungkin kita bagi ruang untuk tanya soalan. We give room for any question for this Zoom. And also if there is any question from Facebook, you can also write the comment there and I can read it to you.
Volume.
Hello? Terima kasih. Hello?
Shazwan, I think you have to speak louder because your voice is up and down.
Kalau ada soalan boleh tanyakan di sini dalam Zoom ataupun di Facebook boleh tulis komen. Boleh.
Shazwan, can I start?
Silakan.
Boleh saya boleh? Thank you for your explanation and discussion just now. Well, what can I get from here in the future studies, of course, between black elephant, black swan, and black jellyfish, it could be the concern of different types of people who have different priorities. Well, as I see it, I was involved directly in the campaign for the last PSN in Kedah. Okay, despite having given the result of survey of certain organization on what could be the outcome of the vote, but at the last minute it seemed there's a real big change to the opposite. Especially we talk about the management of ignorance, how people just react based on sentiments and emotion, especially among our young Malay voters in Kedah, especially as you can see, because I operated there. It seems that there's a black elephant, as you said. I mean, there's a high impact, low credibility. Right? But how do we manage it? I mean, what would be our interaction to prevent this from spread further? That's one thing. Maybe the other thing is that about DNA manipulation of the humankind. I learned somewhere that the cloning of humans has never been successful, other than the cloning of cows or pigs. Could you elaborate on that? Thank you.
So Yusuf, could you please repeat your second question?
Second question about the DNA manipulation. DNA manipulation. Okay, on human. I heard I heard somewhere. I mean, I heard somewhere that the cloning of animals like cattle or maybe pigs has been successful, but not that of human. Has never been successful. Whatever they tried to do before. Just need some elaboration on that. Thank you.
Okay. I think when it comes to the cloning, it has been a while since the last time we heard anything about cloning, and we are very much aware about the animal cloning, but not human cloning. I am not really, I think the last time we read about it is quite some time ago. I'll look into it and then I will share with you whatever that I have gotten. Maybe I will share these questions with our network member. That's what I always do when I get into a dead end. And then I will share the findings with you, Cik Yusof. But as for now, yes, we have never heard of any human cloning, a successful story of human cloning. But we do hear about animal cloning, but let me find out about that. Because I think this issue of cloning has has slowed down or maybe died down because of this gene A modification. But I'll find out about it and get back to you soon, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, the first question about I mean, perhaps it's something beyond this session about the the occurrence of ignorance among our younger voters.
Yes.
I would see that as more as a black elephant.
Um,
Do you agree?
Ignorance among our younger voters. Yes, for some reason we could see it as a black elephant, but if it is not dealt with properly, it might get worse and turn into a black jellyfish. Because I think to say that it is a black elephant, yeah, black elephant. Yes, yes, yes. It could be a black elephant. But it is still manageable. But is it really manageable actually? So yeah, if we
Yeah,
want to
because we need to realize the impact. Well, I was there campaigning for more than 3 weeks and
yeah,
meeting people, and of course, I was in charge of the media for
mhm,
one Bun, Bukit Pinang to be exact. Of course, there's
yes,
the whole Kedah. There's one person who's in charge of the media, and he told me that as for the media or social media budget spent by the parties that are contesting, okay,
mhm,
PH only spent 1 million ringgit for Kedah, but PN and PAS they spent 15 million ringgit. That's 15 times what they spent, and we can see the outcome. And what they spread actually are mostly lies, slanders, and to the extent that you can see that how much hatred is spread against our PM, our beloved PM. Meaning when you can see that his posters, his face on the poster were all either I mean, they scribble on it. They poke holes in the eyes. They break the billboards, and that's so much so. Only on the face of the PM, not the contestant that is contesting there. So we can see the focus is how much ignorance, how much hatred is spread through lies, and these youngsters take it as whole truth and acted on that, and
yes,
quite very apa ni tak bertanggung jawab lah, quite responsibly. Yeah, thank you.
yes. Um, we are dealing with ignorance, and also remember the speed, scope, and scale of post-normal times. So I think that is one very good example of what's happening during post-normal times when when it happens very, very fast and in a very huge situation. Yes, yes. So that is post-normal times. And when we're talking about ignorance, yes, there is also one characteristics of not characteristics, but something that we have to deal with. Because the 3Cs and 4S happens quickly. One of the reasons is because of the ignorance. We don't really care to find out about what's happening. And um, I could not help but to think of this Quranic verse about blind imitation. Why do we need teachers? Why can't we learn things on our own because of all this? That's the reason why teachers are very important. Sheikh are very important for us to learn from.
As I said, Puan Ida, meant basically between knowledge and uninformed or ignorance is between those who learn through facts and data and those who are just follow their hawa. I mean, the opinions of others. They just follow the opinions of others. They're not based on the true findings of truth. So that's the situation we are facing right now, actually. Well, hopefully, that those are involved in the future studies could help be involved in be the ambassadors, also the Du'at al-Falah towards this change. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Maybe also one of the things that we might want to discuss in the Postnormal Times workshop is the impact of the younger voters to the geographical, to the setting, the societal setting of the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Inshallah. I think that's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. Brother Shazwan, back to you. Oh,
yeah.
Chinasir, you have something to say?
Yes, please. It is about the human DNA modification. As mentioned, it has failed. But imagine if, let's say, the modification successful. For example, to alter the DNA for the bad persons, for example, the what call that, bandits. To turn a bandit into a good preacher or good da'i, for example. If that can be done, I think the world is going to be a peaceful and good place to stay. No criminals, nothing. But of course, there must be a reason why the DNA alteration in human will never be or has not yet been a success. So, from the Islamic perspective of point of view, for example, is there any indication that there is a possibilities of human DNA can be altered or can be modified? Is there any indication has been or ever been discussed among the Muslim scientists on that possibilities? Wallahu alam.
Yes. This is also a very good discussion point. I think maybe we might want to discuss to Prof. Osman Bakar to talk more about this, because we have not really looked into this scientific matter too much. Kan we are still dealing with our own peaceful coexistence. But it is actually a good idea to discuss about it. All right, I'll take note of it and see what we can do on the institute level.
Thank you.
Brother Shazwan, I think back to you.
Thank you, Brother Nasir, Brother Yusof, for your question. I think in Facebook, I don't think any comment had any question. So we can, I think we can end now. Maybe we can give Ada final remarks or anything. Tak ada. No final remarks. Okay, thank you. I just thank you very much. So Ada, is this the last of the Muslim societies?
Actually, there is one small part of the book. We're talking about future scenarios, but that one, I will leave it to the expert to discuss in our PNT workshop.
Okay.
Because that is the specialty of Jordi Serra. Inshallah, Jordi will be around. So let's listen from him.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ada. So basically, we finished our Muslim studies. We will continue our Resensi ILMI with another book. We will follow our Facebook, our Twitter to know more about the program, party program. So we end with Tasbih Kafarah for us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Recording stopped.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.